Hello, everybody. My video is a draft review about our draft and what we did, and I got to say that I'm happy with what we did. We could have done some other things better. There were some players that I wanted to skip that we didn't, but you got to trust the process, and it's all business and everything. But the first pick of the draft was spot on. Our pick, our number two pick in the first round, I thought was spot on. I was a little nervous about it because I thought that there was a possible chance that the Cardinals could have taken Nick Bosa. But when they took Kyler Murray, I knew it was a no-brainer there. I felt we were going to get Nick Bosa, and we did. And I'm really happy for that. I think we're going to be, good to have him because our front seven is looking good. Our defensive line is looking good. We got guys now that can get after the quarterback, and that is so important, especially in a division where you have quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, and now the newly Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. You want guys to get after these mobile quarterbacks. You don't want these quarterbacks to have a lot of time. So that was one of our problems last year on defense. We had a problem trying to contain quarterbacks. We weren't getting to the quarterback fast enough. Quarterbacks were sitting back there all day long. They could have taken a nap if they wanted to. But now we got guys that can get after the quarterback, and that's important. The next one is Debo Samuel. I heard good things about him. I think he's a good receiver. He's got good hands, a hard-working receiver. Now, I would have liked to have gotten DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown. We had opportunities to do so, and we didn't do that, and I wasn't really happy about that. But this guy, I think, will be a hard worker for us. I think he'll want to go out and prove something because of all the other receivers in the draft getting the recognition and all that. And I think these kind of guys usually feel like they have something to prove. Next guy is Jalen Hurd, wide receiver, Baylor. Jalen Hurd, I think his name is. Now this guy is interesting because a guy like this is good to have because he's versatile. He can play tight end, he can play wide receiver, he can play running back, and it's good to have a guy like that because you never know. You start getting injuries, and you have a guy that can fill in any of those three spots if needed. Also, in case of emergency or whatever. But what I think is so neat about him is, and I think Kyle Shanahan is going to have fun here, is that Kyle Shanahan is such a very offensive-minded guy. I think he'll want to create plays, because he loves to create plays. He likes to be creative with plays. And when you have a player like Hurd, you can do so many creative things with a player that can be moved around in different spots. Kind of like Jared McKinnon. Jared McKinnon can run the ball, but he can also catch out of the backfield. So, having a player that has all those attributes is very important, and I'm excited to see this guy play. So, and who knows, he could be a sleeper. The next guy is Mitch Wishnowsky, punter from Utah. I think I pronounced his name right. To me, I feel that this was a throwaway pick. I was not particularly happy with the pick because I felt we could have got something else. We could have got a DB. We did get a DB later on in the draft, but I'll get to that later. We could have got a defensive back, something that we need, and we got a punter. We already have a punter, and if we're not happy with the current punter that we have, we can always get somebody else. We could sign somebody else down the road. Very seldom do you see punters and kickers get drafted. You don't see that often. But I don't know, man. That almost feels like a Trent Baalke pick right there. I think we could have got somebody else on that pick. Maybe another offensive lineman, maybe a defensive back. We could have done something there, but we'll see how it goes with that. Then there's Drew Greenlaw, linebacker from Arkansas. I'm not sure I pronounced his first name right. He's weird names. Um, well, Greenlaw, I heard a story about him. Um, he, I guess the 49ers were supposed to pay him a visit, and they didn't. And he was so upset about that. And he wasn't happy at all. And but then later on he understood the nature of the business and all that. But then they eventually got to meet with him, or so I'm kind of wondering, maybe they drafted him, maybe because they felt bad they didn't meet with him or anything like that. But I'm sure there's more to it than that. He's a good player. He's got good speed. He's good on dealing with certain coverages, and he's a physical player. So I think he'll be a good add-on here. I think he's going to be a good asset. He could be a good asset for us. And it looks like the 49ers kind of beefing up on their defense, especially the defensive line and the linebackers lately. The next guy is Caden Smith. Caden Smith, tight end of Stanford. You know what? You know what this pick makes me think? This pick makes me think that they may be using Julian Hurd, as a wide receiver, because a lot of people were theorizing when we took Hurd that he was going to be used as a tight end. Maybe they were going to use him as a tight end, but now they've just drafted a tight end, another guy, and for the tight end, and I think that maybe they're going to use Julian Hurd as a wide receiver. Maybe have him used for that, or they could use him for kickoff or punt returns or whatever. But so that leads me to believe that maybe they're not planning to use Hurd as a tight end because they picked one up and they got another good tight end. You know who that is, George Kittle. Then there's Justin Skull or something like that, offensive tackle, and Vanderbilt. And I think that there's your offensive line. There's an offensive lineman right there. So they did address that. They did address that. I don't know too much about this guy. I think he's probably good. I'll trust Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch on that. I'll have to look more into this guy, but they did address the offensive line right there by getting him, and we'll see how he plays out. I'm glad they did address it at some point in the draft, because as the draft was getting kind of later in there, I was starting to worry about us getting DBs and and offensive linemen, but they did address it down the road in the draft. So the next guy is Tim Harris. He was a cornerback. There we go. We got it. We got a cornerback, CB corner, defensive back. There we go. I saw a little bit of film on him. He's a good tackler. He's kind of aggressive player, kind of like the way a Ronnie Lott plays. I'm not saying he's great as Ronnie Lott, but you remember how Ronnie Lott used to play, where a receiver would catch a short pass and Ronnie Lott was right there to make the tackle. I saw highlight films where this guy kind of plays that way, and he's good on breaking up passes and stuff like that downfield. I haven't seen much film on him when it comes to maybe turnovers and stuff like that. I have to see more, but I think that I'm glad to see we got somebody there. Now, I know who I really would have liked to have seen us got? Greedy Williams. You know, we had opportunities to get him, but we didn't do it, and that's unfortunate. But we'll see how this guy goes. Maybe he'll, because sometimes these later picks are sleepers. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what all these guys can do. And now all the teams, the draft is over. Oh, keep in mind though, even though the draft is over, we can still pick up guys. We can still pick up guys because there's all those undrafted players out there that teams start to mop up on, and whatever's available out there. So we could still get another defensive back, more offensive linemen. We can still get guys out there, and so even though the draft is over, there's always the undrafted guys that everybody is looking to try to get. Certain guys that they need. So there's always that too. We'll see how that goes down the road. Now the teams go to training camp. Now all the teams go to training camp. They got their guys. They go to training camp, and it's quickly. I mean, this is quickly coming up now. The football season. I mean, think about it. We got what, about 3 months. We're in late April now, and so we got around around 3 months to go before the preseason. I mean, the year is just going by so fast. I mean, we're just going month after month after month. Just think about it. 3 months from now, the preseason will begin, and we'll get all excited about the new season and everything. So that's coming up. That's going to be fun. Um, and I'm really excited about what we're going to do. Now, even though you can look at our roster and you can look at what we did in the draft and free agency, and you can say, well, we we got some good players and everything, but keep in mind, health is the most important thing. I mean, you gotta understand. We've had seasons in the past where we go into the season thinking, oh, well, we got some talented guys here. We could have a good season. We can get a lot of wins, but then it turns out we have a bad season, and because of injuries. So even though you look at our roster, you look at what we did in the draft and free agency and what's already on our the guys that have been there in the past on our roster, health is the most important thing. That's the determination of what kind of season we're going to have. It is. But it looks like we've added depth, so that's certainly going to help things. And the draft was interesting. Like I said, we had chances to get DK Metcalf and AJ Brown and Greedy Williams and some other players out there. We had chances at that, but I'm going to trust the process. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they see things in the guys they picked. So I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing in this whole process, and where it's going. And like I said, there's the undrafted guys out there that they can get. So that will be interesting to see what they do with that. One of the things I've noticed about this draft, they didn't really give the 49ers a whole lot of love, in this draft. I mean, they hardly ever talked about them. All I heard, I've watched a little bit of the ESPN coverage and the NFL Network coverage, and the 49ers got very little love. I mean, especially on the NFL Network. I mean, all they were talking about was the Cardinals, it seemed like. I mean, they were talking about a lot of other teams too, but they seemed to be just talking about. I know they had the first pick in the draft, but they were just covering the Cardinals like I've never seen. Talking about the Cardinals, talking about Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen, wherever he was going to go, and all this talk. And I was like, come on, man. That team was in the bottom of the NFC West. I mean, I can understand talking about them because they had the very first pick and stuff, but they gave the 49ers no love at all in this. But that's how it is. That's how it's been with us. The media doesn't like covering us. They don't like to talk about us. They rather talk about teams like the Cowboys and the Seahawks. And which is how it is with them. But the only way we're going to get that media attention again is if we go out and we stay healthy, we play well, we win games, and then they'll start talking about us again. So that's how the only way you're going to get respect is by earning it in this league. So it's one of the things we have to do. But I really feel that we're moving in the right direction. And there's some things that are going to be a question mark down the road. Like the whole Robbie Gould thing. Robbie Gould, there was talk that we were going to trade him. Or talk that he wanted to be traded. that he wanted to, and and I guess that the 49ers put the franchise tag on him, and he just said recently he wanted to be traded and all that, and the 49ers said no, they're not going to trade him, they're going to keep him. I just hope that he doesn't go into the season disgruntled about that and his mind somewhere else. He probably wanted to go to Chicago to stay to be back with his family again. But well, we'll see how that goes out. How that goes. I hope he'll really be interested in playing for us and doing a good job for us. So the draft was an interesting one. There were a lot of guys, though, I thought slid far down in the draft, like DK Metcalf and AJ Brown and Greedy Williams. Those guys slid further down than I thought. I thought DK, and I had said in past videos, I thought DK Metcalf was going to go quick in that draft, and I'm surprised the Raiders didn't pick him up because John Gruden used to rave about him. That was unbelievable. That they slid as far down as they did, and but teams have certain needs, and maybe there were teams that felt they didn't need those guys right there and then. But we could have had any of those three guys. That's what bothers me. We could have, but I'm not gonna look at our picks and say that none of them are any good. They certainly are good, fair. Could be sleepers there like the Herd. I think he's going to surprise us. So yeah, I really believe that we are moving in the right direction. There's so many things we have to do, so many things we have to put together still, and it's all going to work out. And, the season's the preseason is just 3 months away. And the year is just going by quick. So football season, the regular season won't be here before you know it. So that's going to be fun. And when I was looking at the schedule, before the draft, I said that we had a lot of teams. There was a lot of teams on our division that kind of we're below 500, didn't make the playoffs, and I thought that was a good thing for us. But I saw a lot of teams in this draft on our schedule that really improved themselves, especially the Cardinals. They picked up a wide receiver, Isabel. He's going to be a problem for us. I think that DK Metcalf could be a problem for us. Dealing with the Seahawks now. The Seahawks they're loaded with receivers. They're loaded with receivers. Now Russell Wilson has all these options. Now I heard that Doug Baldwin may be on the way out of Seattle, and that was probably the reason why they drafted DK Metcalf, because they wanted someone to replace Doug Baldwin. Because from reports I've been hearing, Doug Baldwin may be on the way out, and and maybe DK is the replacement, but we'll see. We'll see how there's all these rumors going on around the league and everything, and I'm happy for Josh Rosen. He's gone to another team, but when you look at Josh Rosen going to another team, that's not surprising, because when Josh Rosen was drafted last year, it was under a different coach, and coaches usually like to draft players that fit their playbook, and the Cardinals have a new coach this season, so they felt that Kyler Murray was the best option for their playbook, and Rosen's getting a new start somewhere else, so I'm happy for him, even though I hate the Cardinals, just like I hate any team in our division. But he's going to the Miami Dolphins, and that's good for him. Well, anyways, that's my video. I don't know when my next video will be. We'll see. But I think we're going to be, so I think we'll be heading in the right direction. We're heading in the right direction. There's no doubt in my mind. We just have to stay healthy. That's the important thing. Okay, so anyways, that's my video. And everybody take care. And who knows? Maybe I'll do a video later. But I always say that, and then I don't. I'm sorry that my last video wasn't that good. I mean, I was kind of distracted by the draft and what was going on. I know I was looking at my iPad a lot and not saying much, and just waiting to hear what was coming. But I'm sorry that that video wasn't as good as it was. But oh well. Anyways, everybody take care and have a great weekend. And I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.